Good morning, everyone. It's Saturday. You should have all your chores done and be sitting in front of your Facebook watching for your devotion. I'm going to talk to you today about a sweet smell. Many of you have heard the story of Mary and Martha. Jesus and his disciples were coming to their house or were at their house, and Martha was busy cooking and making sure everything was perfect, and she was running around, and while she was doing that, Mary sat at Jesus' feet and poured her bottle of perfumed oil on Jesus' feet to wash them, and then dried them off with her long hair. See, back in Bible days, they wore sandals, and their feet were open to the sand and the dirt, and they needed to have their feet washed when they came into a house. They needed to be clean. They needed to clean their feet off. And so it was a big time service. The servants would wash the feet of guests that came to your house. So Mary was washing the feet of Jesus. She knew that Jesus wasn't going to be with them much longer. See, he was on his journey. It was close to the time when he was going to die on the cross for her. And she knew that. And she knew she wasn't going to have him real long. Now, this perfume that she put on Jesus' feet, it was called nard, N-A-R-D, nard. And it was pretty expensive. It filled the room with smell, good smell. The nard was typically the cost at that time of what someone would earn in a year, a whole year, this bottle of perfume that she poured on Jesus' feet. Now, Judas, see, he was the disciple that turned on Jesus, kissed him, and gave him away to the soldiers that were going to take him and beat him and crucify him. He got angry. He said, "She's just wasted that perfume, pouring it out on Jesus's feet." But that's not how Mary felt. She decided that she was going to give her best, her all, to Jesus. And it was costly, and she didn't care because he meant more to her than that perfume ever did. And Jesus knew that's what was in Mary's heart. So he didn't fuss at her because Judas was mad that she'd poured that expensive perfume out on his feet. Jesus showed his love for her and for you and for me, for your mom and your dad and every person on this entire earth by giving his life and dying on the cross for us, so that we could have salvation by accepting him into our lives to live in our hearts. And then we're able to, when we pass on from this earth, or if Jesus comes back before we pass on, we'll be able to be in heaven with him. And the Bible calls it a sweet smell. This morning, I sprayed on some oil, scented oil, and it made the whole bathroom smell like lavender. That's a great thing when you walk into a room and it smells really good. The preacher talks about sometimes when I'm cooking dinner and he comes in from working and the whole house smells so good. I know you've experienced that before when mom's cooking or she's making cookies or something like that. You've walked in the house and said, "Something smells good." Well, in Ephesians 5:2, it says, "Lead a life of love, just as Christ did himself, just as Christ did himself for us." He loved us. He gave himself up for us. He was a sweet smelling offering and sacrifice to God. So, be like Mary and be a sweet smelling sacrifice to Jesus. Have a good day.